All right, can folks on Zoom hear us okay? We're gonna have probably my face
Yes.
close up. All right, thank you, Jay. Appreciate that.
Yes, I can
Happy
hear.
March. It doesn't sound that great. All right, let me know. I might have to get closer and closer.
You sound
As
fine. You sound fine.
oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
I think it might be. Okay. Happy March, everybody, and welcome to our general meeting. I feel like I see familiar faces and maybe a few new names on Zoom. So just as a friendly reminder, this is kind of our general meeting. So you'll hear from electeds, you'll hear from residents, from institutions in our neighborhood with the latest and greatest. And at this meeting, you'll hear about from our committee chairs, more or less things that they discussed, items of business that we will be voting on and considering, and then what's next at our upcoming April meetings. As usual, we are hybrid. So sometimes, again, Simari, let me introduce folks. Simari, our first vice chair, is monitoring the chat. So if you are interested in speaking during the public session, please put your name and affiliation there, and she will respond very quickly and also alert us to any technicals. We also have Anthony Viola, our secretary, who is in real time taking notes, and also we'll be doing our voting record tonight. And then we have Daryl Cochran, our second vice chair, who will be assisting and especially supporting with the microphones. So whether folks are on Zoom, but also understanding accessibility, making sure that everybody who's in real life in the space has a microphone. And so we'll be passing them around. And just as a quick reminder, the usual spiel, only board members are able to speak. If you are a member of the public, resident, you want to alert us, sign up for the public session. We don't engage in back and forth discussions, right? The usual kind of like dialogue. We recognize, we take stock, so meaning the order that people speak, and we'll recognize the next person to speak. Keep your comments and suggestions under 2 minutes and connected to the item at hand. And then, of course, as usual, please raise your hand. For folks on Zoom. And if you're going to say something in the chat, make sure to also say it verbally. That is part of our record, but also people who are in this room can't see the chat. So we want to make sure that they're also in touch with whatever you want to say, even if it's a link that you want to drop in the chat. Cool. So do we have just a quick look? We went through that, right? So signups are closing very shortly. And we will start hopefully around 7:30 for the public session. Let me just confirm if we do have quorum to vote on the agenda. I do have a very, very slight edit that I forgot to send in this morning, which is we're going to have a 5-minute teaser presentation from New York Presbyterian related to Cancer Plus Project. And that's going to be right after the district manager's report. So that will be item number 5. Okay, I can't officially make that change, but we will make that edit as we can, and when we get quorum and call the agenda formally. All right, we can keep hitting the next slide. Sorry, thank you. Next slide. All right, so part of my report, actually, we can leave it here for a second. So part of 2 things for my report today. One, as many folks saw, we made public our statement, if you will, but also public really a resolution that we have voted on time and time again, related to the row houses and the potential demolition of the row houses on, and I always mess up the street, 158, 158, perfect, thank you, 158. If you didn't see it, check your inboxes. We're happy to recirculate that. It was really important to us to really underscore what the board's position has always been on that, particularly when a lot of press and folks are asking about, what's the board doing? So for us, it was an opportunity to underscore what we've always said for the last, I think, 15 years, Wayne? 15 years, which is it should have been part of the Audubon Historic District. And also for us to call into question, preservation doesn't cancel out housing or development projects in our neighborhood. You can have both. It is a both and. And so we really wanted to call in what we've always talked about the board about matters of equity when it comes to historic preservation, as we spoke about in the past around the abolitionist house, as we've spoken about different sites in the neighborhood. So if that is of interest to you, and if you were not aware, please get on our listserv so you can always get any public statements that we do make. Second to that, as many of us have probably already heard at this time about the fire that happened last week on 100 and I'm terrible with blocks, sorry, 174th Street and Audubon. Wait, another one? Oh, 206 Audubon. Yeah, I was like, wait, long street. 206 Audubon Avenue. And so Ebenezer, Eliezer, our public safety chair, and myself were at I guess a kitchen table discussion with the FDNY commissioner, and being able to discuss not just that, but also what we all talk about consistently at the board is the trends of fires. And we know obviously a lot of the e-bike batteries. And then I don't know if Ebenezer, you were going to get a little more into it in your report, but for us, it was really, again, my role is to amplify what the board and what the community is always speaking on. And for us, that was talking about, we need the data, right? We need to know what those trends are to be better, to see, in order to be better advocates for our city agencies, whether it's funding or legislative fixes. So being able to have more data, being able to understand, you know, where are potential sites, for example, for e-bike battery charging stations, right? They require a lot of power. What more do we need? We know that there's a lot more that needs to happen at the preventative level versus at a reactive level. So I'll say that is number 2. And then you can hit the next slide. All right. And then the next thing is tomorrow. And I feel like everybody's going to report it, but I'm going to keep saying it. Tomorrow is super key. This is what we've been, you know, what Marielle and the Housing and Human Services Committee have been talking about for months. This is what we've been sharing for months. You know, when city agencies are asking the board for feedback consistently, and we consistently say it, we also got to show up, right? So tomorrow at 6, if you don't see it at IS 52 or 650 Academy in Inwood, is going to be the community visioning workshop around the 9th Avenue development. I can't stress how important it is, not just for board members, but particularly for members of the public, right? As we, as a board, will continue, you know, in the future, the developer will come to the board. In the future, there may be resolutions, letters of interest, different opinions or agreements made. And the only way we can really make informed decisions is knowing how it kind of, what the journey of that was, right? What did community say at that beginning? So for board members who are free, willing, able, please attend. A lot of us will be there present. Of course, we'll also report back. And for members of the public, right, like this is our way of us being able to hear and understand what you want to see happen in the district. So it's really, really key to see that. And then the last one, I see your hand. And the last thing is something I mentioned last time. So CB12, we are redoing our website. We will still have the same kind of New York City structure to it. So it's not going to be the fanciest or most advanced website in that side. But we do want to get feedback, and not just from board members, but members of the public who routinely use our website or go to our website. So what's clunky, what's not working, what do you want to see on there that's not on there? Feel free to have that QR code. We're also going to circulate it on our weekly newsletter starting next week. And that should conclude my report. Right? Yeah. Okay, cool. I do see a hand from And I'm gonna let I hear it. I'm gonna let Jam repeat it, and then Jamila can say it again. It's on 9th Avenue, but the cross streets I forgot. 219th Street and 9th Avenue. Yes, I'll see.
9th Avenue between 2020 actually and 2018.
Okay, so this new development, right, is part of the little context, excuse me. This new development has been part of the Inwood rezoning, is between 218th Street, 220th Street on 9th Avenue. So it's in that kind of back corner by the water. Yeah, and so part of this session is not just what you want to see there, but it's because the city is going to do a request for proposals. So essentially any developers who apply to develop that site, what the community wants is going to be on that document, right? And in that project proposal. Oh, another question, sorry, go ahead, Elsie.
It's a question I would like to ask in relation to that meeting that will happen tomorrow. I think that it will be beneficiary for all community board members. The next general meeting will be in Inwood, because you're probably gonna hear some more voices, but you're making it to the meeting tomorrow.
I'm gonna repeat because we forgot to pass the mic. Sorry, I forgot to mention the mic. So OC, one of our board members is stressing the also importance of moving our April meeting, which we're working on, to the Inwood area, given that there might be more attention. Folks have comments, questions, things they want to raise to us, and we'll be in Inwood. So keep an eye out. We're working on it and hopefully can be there. So I'm gonna pass the lectern to Ebenezer Smith, our district manager, for his report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Always it's a pleasure being here as your district manager and provide my report. Amplifying a little bit more about the meeting we had with the fire department commissioner last Saturday. The commissioner was requesting our help and our input, how we can educate the community with the fire safety. They have a lot of materials regarding fire safety, and we're going to start adding to our mailing newsletter starting this week some link and information connecting to the fire department website that you can have many brochures for many different occasions, regarding candles, regarding cooking, regarding the safety that we're going to be. So that's going to be my personal commitment to include that as long as possible. And also we would like to request to every community-based organization that we have a street activity or any event during the summer to invite the fire department. We have the contact information. I'm going to speak with the fire department to make sure that they are available, because sometimes I remember in years, past years, I recommend the fire department to attend to a particular event. Oh, I'm sorry, we cannot make it because we don't have a personnel available. Is another location. So they have to be a commitment in part of the fire department to make sure that they can come to the community-based organizations events that we have in the district. Saying that, at the last district service cabinet meeting, the Department of Environmental Protection make a very strong comment that they will shut off the water services to the consumers that would not pay the water bills. You heard on the news last week that millions of dollars are owed to the city of New York because people are not paying the water bills. One question that came in this district service cabinet meeting was, what happened is you're going to shut off the water in a residential building because the landlord is not paid. And that was a question that, is very tough how to answer. And we tried to have some kind of mediation, they said, according to DEP, to avoid to affect the residential buildings. If the worst thing coming that they need to shut out, I request, at least, bring water in a tank or a truck tank to alleviate situation if that happen. But hopefully that doesn't happen in our district or any part of the city of New York as well. This morning, I participated in a webinar with New York City DOT, where they lay out the program Dining Out. Starting August 3rd this year, the new program going to start, and all the temporary dining out facilities that you see and shed must be removed, and every restaurant who need to have outdoor dining or they need to apply for the program. If the restaurant do not enroll in the program, they will have to remove at their own cost the shed and the structure that they may have on the street or in the roadway. And if the restaurant is closed and the any structure is there, the DOT department will remove that. At the last district service cabinet meeting, the New York Presbyterian Hospital informed us that they hired 2 traffic agents to direct the traffic on Fort Washington Avenue between 165th Street and 168th Street. That is very good information, and the schedule will be Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And also this will be in anticipation of the new construction that will happen on Fort Washington Avenue and West 165th Street. Dog poops is a big issue in the district, and Department of Sanitation came to our district service cabinet meeting to report that they are following up the location that we gave them last month. I encourage the community, if you have an issue with the dog poops in the district, to call 311 or send me the information via email or a text. We are working together with the Department of Sanitation. This morning, a resident from Inwood sent me some picture and more information that we pass along to the Department of Sanitation. Abandoned cars in the district. You heard me for the last 2 or 3 months talking that I am requesting from the police department to remove abandoned cars in the district. And you heard on the news last week that the mayor started the program to remove cars in citywide. Please continue reporting the location where you see abandoned vehicles without license plates or with fake license plates that you see that they don't move for anything and you see it from there. Please report it. Give me the location in front of this building between these trees and this street. Then give me some information of the car, the color, make, etc., etc. So the what is this?
He's working now, Melissa. You're gonna know. So, oh, it's good. All right, we're good now. Okay, something happened.
Okay, about to wrap it up now. Our newsletter, you see that every
Just did it again.
Okay.
Oh.
No, in space.
Oh, the spade, I hit it. Oh, I'm so sorry, my bad. Hopefully that get everything that I said. I heard I said that every Monday we send out our newsletter. Immediately after we send it out, I got a request from community-based organizations asking me, please add this information to go out. We have a new policy that we're going to be sending out one email a week to avoid the numerous emails that we were sending out, plugging everybody's inbox. And we request if any elected official, community-based organization, any organization in the district that want that we post something in the newsletter, please send it to us no later than the Thursday before, so we can have ample time to compose and format the email and send it out on time. And our job posting from community assistant and community associate is still open. We had a few interviews for a few candidates, but we're still looking for the right candidate to bring it, to at least 2 candidates to bring it before the executive committee. Hopefully we can have that next month in April. And we have finally a final hire. And finally, committee chairs, please review the April calendar. Make sure that the date and time of your committee is entered correctly. And also on the back of the calendar that the items that you're gonna be discussed is entered correctly. Some committee chairs haven't provided yet the items for April. Please send it no later than tomorrow so I have the time to put it on the calendar and send it out to the community. This is the end of my report. Is there any question? Yes.
Thanks for all the follow-up and everything.
It's the best day.
Sanitation. They pulled a lot of garbage cans down streets. People really reacted, obviously, missed garbage cans when they go missing. They had to, like, they ordered new ones. But now it's been a while since we heard that story, so it's probably good to speak to that at all. Do you have any update? And if not, how do you get that update? For our little resident out there.
Okay, thank you. I will follow up with that request for sanitation. Yes. Yes, I got it. Any other question?
Yeah, Ebenezer, I don't know if it's a question or a suggestion.
Hold on. Give me a
But-
second. Sorry, Liz, give me a second. I'm saying there was another hand before you, but also in the
So
calendar,
sorry.
we forgot to mention the Thursday. That the general meeting is gonna be Thursday, April 25th.
Oh, yes, we have a change. Yes, we have 2 changes on the calendar. The first one is that the aging committee gonna take place at the Dykeman Senior Center located at 3754 10th Avenue, ground floor. That's it, on 10th Avenue between 201 and West 202 Street. That's going to be on Thursday, April 4th. And also the general meeting for next month has been changed for Thursday, April 25th, because of the holidays. So it will not be on the regular Tuesday, the 23rd. We were not able to move it to Tuesday, the 30th, because of the holidays as well. So in order to accommodate the observance, so we move it to the Thursday, the 25th. Thank you, Madam Chair, to remind me that. Any other question?
I have a question over here.
Yes.
Just you talking about the water shut off, how many months leeway are they giving them?
They would send notice to everyone in advance for, I think it's 45 days, and then they're gonna give you 15 days before they shut it off. Any other question? Liz?
So one of the things that Gail Brewer does with her weekly emails is she sends it out a second time in case people missed it and in case there are updates. I love the idea that you're moving to a weekly email because it was just too much. So that's a really good impulse. But there's going to be so much in that email, people might miss it, and there might be something timely that should be included. So is it possible to do like an automated recap that if there's anything really important that got missed can go into that goes out, like on Friday morning or something?
For sure. Thank you for your input. I'm going to discuss that with the leadership of the board to see if we can schedule a second time to send it out.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? I don't see any other question. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Cool. So I know we don't have quorum yet, as an FYI. So I was not formally, but we need 3 more people. I wasn't formally able to make this edit. Hope there's no wild reactions. It's 5 minutes. Took it from a public session. All right. So our next presentation, excuse me for this. We're going to now hear from Joe Lanuso, excuse me, from New York Presbyterian, who will be presenting related to the Cancer Plus project of New York Presbyterian, which some of us have heard a lot, some of us are very excited about. So come on up, and I'll share the screen for you. Sorry, let me just.
Madam Chair, thank you for the 5 minutes. And I will really just provide everybody the essence of the overview of this project. We're very excited about this at Columbia Presbyterian, and I hope that you all, as you learn about it, are going to be equally excited. Before I even speak to any of the slides, the one thing that I want to really convey to this group is fundamentally what we're trying to do is to take cancer care at Columbia Presbyterian, which is one of the best cancer programs across the entire country. And we want to design and purpose build a building that will allow that the quality of the building to meet the quality of the cancer care that's provided. We are, of course, proud to be a member of this community. You can count on the fact that NYP and our partner, Columbia University, will continue that commitment through a variety of ways that we support the local community. So suffice it to say that will not change. Cancer care for New York Presbyterian and the Columbia University Irving Medical Center has a very long history. Actually, the Herbert Irving Comprehensive Cancer Center in the HIP building, right on West 165th in Fort Washington, is one of the longest standing comprehensive cancer centers in the country. Dates back to about 1979 when it received its original designation. And we're one of only 51 comprehensive cancer care centers in the country. What we're really looking to do here, if we peel this all back and say, what are we trying to do with cancer care? We want to consolidate what is today a very distributed experience for patients. And I'm going to show you one image about that. And we really want to elevate the patient experience. And when we talk a little bit about the design, what we're trying to do is to create a patient experience that is dignified. If I was going to use one word to talk about what we're trying to do, and that is to create a dignified experience for our cancer patients. And again, in doing that, we're going to decommission a building that is quickly approaching 100 years in age. What I mean by a distributed cancer experience, if we just, you don't need to read the words on the page, but if you see the call out boxes around the two super blocks, Fort Washington in the center, 165th Street towards the bottom of the page, and West 168th on the top. Broadway, of course, is to the upper portion on the right-hand side. All the call-out boxes represent different buildings in which cancer care patients receive care. It may be a blood draw, it may be a CAT scan or an MRI, it may be a visit with their oncologist, and then ultimately infusion, if that's the course of treatment. What we want to do is to take all of that distributed service, and in that reddish box, that's where the new cancer building will be located. So we want a single point of entry to allow patients to receive their care in one building. This is an image of the building. We're advancing the design of the building. What I want to call out in just talking a bit about program, the lower portion of this building, which is facing 165th Street, West 165th, the lower portion of the building is going to be, it will include operating rooms, appropriate prep recovery. This is all ambulatory surgery, not inpatient care, imaging like MRIs and CTs and X-ray and so on. And the upper portion of the building is where all of the direct cancer care will be provided. So that's going to be about 120 exam rooms spread over 5 floors, 1 floor for ophthalmology, which was in the Harkness Eye Center that we've moved out, but we're going to bring the eye care back into the building. So again, exam rooms, direct cancer care, infusion on the upper portion of the building. The lower portion of the building is operating rooms and imaging services, diagnostic and treatment. This is just one image of the ground floor. The entrance to the building will be on West 165th, just to the right of this image on the right-hand side. But we really want to bring green to the point of entry to this building, right onto the sidewalk itself. This is a concept rendering of the lobby. Again, for those of you that are familiar with architecture today, the technology is so good, you can look at an image and believe that it's built, but this is still in design. Things will change over the course of time, but we wanted to give you a sense of what the point of entry experience may be. And again, if you leave with one word in your mind, I'd like that to be dignity. That's the dignified experience we want to provide for our patients. In the lower portion of the building where the operating rooms are, these are all private prep recovery. Is that my 5-minute mark, Madam Chair? All right. But again, when you arrive for a surgery, you get placed into a prep recovery room. You and your family member are there for the length of your stay. But again, this is arrive in the morning and be discharged in the afternoon. And these are just a couple of images, including where the infusion will be administered to patients and what we're trying to do with respect to, again, elevating that experience and putting it into a proper, appropriate center where the environment contributes to the quality of care. All right, Madam Chair, that's my 5 minutes. Sorry, I went a little bit over.
No, it's okay. Thank you so much, Joe. Joe's been really present about, and the entire team, I should say, in terms of making sure we fully understand. I want to echo. I know there's hands. We'll take 3 hands that I see. Echoing, this is a teaser. Joe and the team will be at land use in April with a full presentation, all the time in the world for questions, comments, yada, yada, and at Health and Environment Committee. So there's 2 chances in the month of April to learn more about this project, to have more time for dialogue. So I want to ask, are there still hands? All right.
Yes.
Also, we're going to pass the mic. Liz, I'm going to let you go first since you're on Zoom, and then we're going to move to in person.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say that as a member of the Comprehensive Cancer Care Center Community Advisory Board, this is great. I love this. And I also, slightly off topic, want to thank NYP for getting its contract back together with Aetna. So thank you for that.
All right, thank you, Liz. Elsie?
Yeah, the hospital has any plan to open a Pluton facility in the near future? There is one on 125th Street, which is opened by 4 hospitals in New York City. New York Presbyterian is on one of them, so I don't know what's the plan for that.
So the short answer is, and I realize we're not part of that consortium, we do not have any current plans for a proton therapy facility. The types of facilities that we're envisioning in this building include linear accelerators, MRs, and CTs, simulators as well, but no current plans for proton therapy.
Okay, and then Jim, sorry. You can say right here.
A nice mundane question. How tall will the building be?
Sure, that's a great question, and I'm sure we'll spend time with it next week. The building to the roof line is about 300 feet. It's 16 stories, but the number of stories in healthcare is oftentimes deceiving because our floor to ceiling height is typically much higher, usually 18 to 20 feet. But that's all driven by the amount of mechanical equipment that we need above the ceiling line. So 300 feet to the roof line, 16 stories.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the teaser and for making yourselves available. Like I said, so for folks who live particularly in this vicinity of the neighborhood, super, super key, get your neighbors to be present. I know there's gonna be a ton of questions around the development of the site. All right, so with that, we're going to transition into reports from our electeds. See, Mariam, I don't have it, sorry. What's this? In terms of our order.
So our first elected speaker for this evening is Jamila Sandoval, representing Council Member Robinson.
Okay, I got it now.
Hi, good evening. I feel like I have a lot to say, so I'll try to be quick. Hi, Jamila Sandoval from Carmen De La Rosa's office. I'm happy to be here in person. On March 11th, the Councilmember De La Rosa and Councilmember Sanchez, in partnership with Comptroller Lander and the Progressive Caucus, were able to launch the Homes Now, Homes for Generation campaign. This is a campaign that calls for $2 billion over the next 4 years to invest in HPD's Neighborhood Pillars and Open Doors program, and roughly create 10,000 units of affordable housing. An example of this within our district was 552 Academy Street that was taken over by Clough under the Neighborhood Pillars program due to a landlord's negligence with maintaining the building, and they were able to buy on their hand. On March 7th, Councilmember De La Rosa held a civil service and labor hearing for Speaker Adams' resolution in support of the state increasing wages and improving worker conditions for home care aides. The resolution was later voted to pass in the New York City stated meeting. Sorry about that. If you're interested in reading about that, the resolution is 0202-2024. The council continues to hold budget meetings regarding education, NYPD, public safety, and all things. The council member continues attending those meetings to share her concerns. Earlier last week, actually, what day is it today? Yeah, last week, March 21st, we were able to host our first constituent services night. We were able to partner with HPD, NYCHA, the mayor's public engagement unit on rent freeze, the rent freeze unit to Manhattan Legal Services and NIMIC from the housing department. Our theme this month was housing. So we were able to bring in Section 8 voucher questions, pending repairs that were needed within housing apartments and buildings for the city agencies to address them themselves. They already mentioned the event that we're having tomorrow night, so I hope to see you all there. PB, the vote week is coming up in 2 weeks. I believe it's from April 6th to April 16th. I'm going to be sending out the flyer to Community Board 12 so it could be amplified as well. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and I would talk about this in April again. On May 18th, we're having our second People's Assembly in the Armory. It's going to be the second part to our co-governance initiative. So I'll be sending out the flyer for that as well, to make sure you guys are all aware. And I wanted to address a little bit about the fire that was in 206 Audubon Avenue. I don't know if many of you guys know, but as a city council office, we report to fires. Whether if I'm able to be on site, I am. To make sure that I'm talking to all the tenants, making sure I'm getting contacts and explain to them what are the possible next steps, how the city can help with rent reduction applications, how Red Cross can help, and also how if they're in need of sheltering, I make sure that they get that as well. So I wasn't able to be at this one because unfortunately it was at midnight. But it was very tragic to see the building the next day. I was able to make contact with the tenants, not with the primary tenant of where the fire started, but our office continues to working with HPD and DOB and the landlord management to make sure that the pending repairs can be done and done sooner than later. I will be honest, fire cases are one of our biggest issues in our district. We are the second community in the whole entire city for fires. So it's very important for us to be educated on what to do when there's a fire. And like Ebenezer said, we're going to be partnering with FDNY, Red Cross, and hopefully Department of Buildings and HPD to come out and do kind of like a community outreach event, because the issue is obviously there is a lot of buildings that catch on fire due to electrical fires. Obviously now we're seeing the e-bags be an issue, but that wasn't an issue 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And there were still a lot of fires in our community. So we're discussing internally to talk about legislation that can be brought out to discuss how we can come back reducing fires within our community. And then two things very quickly. Bennett Park Playground was closed this week, and it's gonna be closed, I believe, for a year. Don't quote me on that, I'll get you more information. But it's gonna be renovated, so that's a good thing. The MTA has also put out a RFP application for the A train on West 190th Street. They're going to be closing that as well soon. I'm going to say in a few months, hopefully not in a few weeks, because of all the needed repairs in that station. It's also to make it more beautiful in our community. So they have a RFP application that was released, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. So if you need information on that, I'm going to log on quickly so that I can put it in my email. I'm getting good at this. All right. Next up, should we say Laura? Yeah, sorry. All right, Laura, come on down. And again, that was Jamila with Carmen de la Rosa's office, and now we have Laura with Congress member Adriano Espaillat.
Wait, I had a question. I had a question for Jamila.
Oh, she hears you. Go ask away.
So just real quickly, on the renovation of the 190th Street station, it would be wonderful if everybody in government and at transit is working with the cloisters to put into place the kind of decoration and art in the 190th Street station that is at the 77th Street C station that reflects the American Museum of Natural History, because that would be a really great amenity, right?
Okay, she took note of it. That's okay. And then
Cool, thanks.
okay. Folks do have to apply, is what Jamila says, but she has written down your suggestion. We have one more hand from Indiana. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm a wheelchair user, and I just wanted to put a note in whenever you're speaking with the folks about doing like the renovations and making them accessible. Is there any way that we can just flag like thinking better about like which stations we're targeting? Because right now along the A and the C line, 175th Street is closed, 34th Street is closed. There's a lot of issues at Times Square. 14th Street is closed. So basically there's no stop from 57th Street down to West 4th. So just if there's any way to like be thoughtful about that in your conversations, I would really appreciate it. It's not really a question, just an ask, please.
Mhm. Thank you. Even Westport has a bunch of elevators.
Yes.
But that sounds, Indiana, like something that traffic can consider because there's multiple Manhattan stations that
Okay.
are undergoing renovations. So that could be, Debbie's here. So if there's a resol that you want to co-write with them, reach out. All right, Lori, come on
Okay,
down.
thank you.
Mhm.
Good evening. Question. Any teachers in the room? Anyone who's friends with any teachers? Okay. So I'm here to announce that we have begun our annual congressional art competition, high school art competition. This is one of the very, very, very few genuinely bipartisan things that happens through the Congress, where virtually every congressional district is receiving submissions from high school art students, either from the district or who may live in the district but go to school elsewhere. And this does not require that youngsters engage in something new. If they have a beloved project that they did a few years ago, whatever, it's all completely acceptable. What, Debbie? What? I can't. Say that again? What needs to be the last year? Oh, Debbie's stricter than I am. But anyway, no. I will look, thank you. I will look into that. But the point is that we really want the students, the youngsters of Community Board 12 and Congressional District 13 to see this as a wonderful opportunity. The winner gets an overnight trip to DC. Their art will hang in the rotunda in the Capitol for a year, along with that of children from literally all over the country. So if you've not received one of these, I will be leaving some outside. It has contact info. We would really be grateful if you would share this information with every single teacher that you know, even if they're not a high school teacher. Let's hope that they know some. Okay, so a few other things that I'd like to comment on. The congressman voted against the bill to ban TikTok because he recognizes that this is an insanely popular source of information as well as entertainment, and because he doesn't believe in shutting down mechanisms, resources like this. So I think that most of us will appreciate that. We announced on March 12th the beginning of a new cycle of funding applications. Last year, the congressman was able to bring, I believe, close to $20 million into the district for very, very worthy purposes to help as many people as could be helped with these different resources and different agencies, et cetera. This funding cycle will end April 4th. If any of you either are on a board of a nonprofit or know of those who are or have a pet project that you consider especially worthy, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll help you expedite an application. The congressman had the honor of hosting our governor, Kathy Hochul, at the State of the Union. And he was, very, very pleased to be able to share that experience with her. And he's promoting an immunization week for teenagers. And finally, I'll share with you that he was able to announce $77 million federal grant funding for electric school buses in the Bronx. And we hope, of course, that this will be a trend and that ultimately it will be for the whole district. Thank you, and I'm happy to stay for questions.
Let's see. Okay. All right. Thank you, Lori. All right. Next up, I think, yes, he's here. All right. So we're going to hear a little shift, but we're going to hear next from Eric Cuello, who is the acting community affairs director for Manhattan Borough President's Office. So Eric, whenever you're ready.
Hi, everybody. Eric Cuello, as Kathy just mentioned, I'm the acting director for the Manhattan Borough President's Office. I just quickly wanted to introduce myself. My colleague Maria de la Cruz is on to give a report, but I just wanted to make sure everybody knew. Trisha Shimomura, who was the director, has now moved on. She's going to do an amazing job as our new Manhattan Borough Parks Commissioner. It's quite literally her dream job, so I'm very excited for her. And it is Parks gain and our loss. Steve, you owe me a drink. But I will pass it over to Marielle. I just wanted to say hello to everybody, and I'll make sure to share my contact information in case anybody needs anything. I'm happy to continue to be available to anyone. Marielle?
Hey, everybody. This is Maria de la Cruz, Events and Partnerships Director, stepping in for Porfirio. Thank you so much, Eric, for introducing yourself to those folks that may not know. Just a quick few updates. Thank you to everyone that went to the State of the Borough. It was on March 3rd. We had about 700 people come. We spoke about the pillars of the office that include affordable housing, healthcare, equity, and sustainability, and also showed our vision for the coming year. About 800 people applied for community boards around the borough. So the group sessions have now been complete, and we'll be hopefully announcing appointments mid-April. And I know also some folks may have missed those interviews, so working with folks for reappointments on that. We are offering still free tax prep services in our Northern Manhattan office from 9 to 5 on Fridays in April, till April 12th. If folks have any questions, 212-531-1609. Yesterday, we hosted our Women's History Month event called Muses of Manhattan, in which we honored Ivy Brown Galleries, Nidia Livia Gutierrez from NOMA, Lisa Gold from the Asian American Arts Alliance, and then we also honor Sade Boye from Faces of Harlem. So we've had a busy month, looking forward to the future. And if folks have any questions, you all know to reach Porfirio Figueroa. You can also reach me or Eric Cuello. Thank you so much. And I know that I'm getting a standing ovation right now, but I'm just not present. But I appreciate the community board and all your work. And also wanted to say that we also attended the interagency meeting with the FDNY. So Kathy was amazing at sharing the community's views, but we also want to make sure that we continue to work together for preventative measures and any community outreach possible. And lastly, if folks are interested in posting events on our website, please do so, as well as if folks want to collaborate with our office, I am the person to talk to. So thank you so much, everyone, and I expect a standing ovation, so turn the camera around. Thank you.
Where's the wave? There you go. Look at your waves. Okay, you actually do got a question. Hold on.
This is Anthony Bayola. Just a quick question. Can you repeat how many community board applicants you said you received?
Did you hear? Okay. How many community board applicants you received?
So don't have it
800.
broken down. I can answer that quickly. We don't have it broken down by community district just yet, but we did receive roughly 820 applicants this year overall.
Okay, cool. Awesome, thank you both.
Thank you, everyone.
Wait, one more question, Maria. Joel.
This is not for me, regarding you, but what if you missed your interview? How do you, those people what
You heard? Did you hear that, Maria?
What have you missed?
Yeah, if you could repeat what for folks who missed for reappointment folks who might have missed their interview or anything.
What's the question? I didn't hear it. Sorry.
If for folks who reapplied, if you could repeat if you missed your interview or you had an issue joining.
Yeah, so feel free to reach out to Porfirio Figueroa, who is the rep in your district. He should be getting back to you with dates and times. Or Eric Cuello, but since your liaison is Porfirio, feel free to check in with Porfirio on that. Send them an email saying that you missed your meeting or whatever may have happened, and then he will reach back out to you with more information.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on next. We're gonna stay on Zoom and we're gonna hear from Senator Jackson's office. We have Edgar and then Noah Coy is up after him.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So the senator met with TWU Local 100 members last week. There were over 2,500 members there, speaking on the inclusion and the reform of Tier 6. which many people know is the lowest level of pensions, especially after retirement, and trying to create new tiers and create more equity in the tiers of pensions. He also met with housing justice advocates, families, and colleagues, all pushing for the statewide passing of the good cause eviction, which obviously is going to be extremely helpful for all tenants in the entire state of New York. Um, another, there's also um, there's also a situation where members of the state are trying to invest and extend TAP funds for part-time students, not just full-time students, and allowing people who are in part-time schedules to also receive benefits from TAP. So that's going to be a big initiative right now. And aside from that, there are 2 more dates available that we're promoting for the tenant housing, tenant rights, pardon me, the tenant housing clinics with the Med Council at the CUNY building at 5030 Broadway. 2 more dates include April 8th and April 22nd. And there's more information on our weekly newsletter, especially dealing with community initiatives, state programs, and a lot of job listings as well. You can also get information from our newsletter by emailing me, etavares@nysenate.gov, and we'll get you that information every week. I will put my information in the chat, and that'll be all. Have a good night.
Always on time. Thank you, Edgar. Appreciate that. All right. I don't see hands. So we're gonna move on next to Noah. Is Noah still here? Oh, you're in person. Oh, wow. Okay, sorry. So Noah's from the Public Advocate's Office. Welcome. Is this your first time in person?
No, I think
okay.
in January.
Okay,
Yeah.
my fault.
All right, so good evening, everyone. I hope you are all doing well. So I just want to start off with a couple of quick reminders. So free tax preparation is available for eligible New Yorkers, and the deadline to file a tax return is Monday, April 15th, so 4 weeks from yesterday. And you can find out more information about that at nyc.gov/DCA. And our office, we also have an upcoming event in 2 days on Thursday, March 28th. It's our office, the Silk Road Foundation, and New York City's Muslim American community to celebrate Ramadan with a celebratory iftar program at 31 Chambers Street. And you can RSVP for that event and other events that our office participates in as capacity permits at nycpublicadvocate.eventbrite.com. And the last thing, there is early voting has started for the presidential primary. It started this past Saturday, March 23rd. It goes until this upcoming Sunday, March 31st. April 1st, April Fool's Day, is the early mail and absentee ballot request deadline. And then next Tuesday, April 2nd, is Election Day. So now I just want to also touch on a couple of issues / developments specific to the community. So first of all, I know Mr. Steve Simon, the chair of the Health and Environment Committee, asked me at last month's general board meeting whether the Office of the Public Advocate opposes the elimination of the nurse midwives positions at New York Presbyterian Allen Hospital. So I just want to confirm and definitively state their office, we do oppose the elimination of those positions. I next want to mention that our office did hold a briefing with members of Community Board 12 and members of the community on Friday, March 15th, including Mr. Wayne Benjamin, the chair of the Land Use Committee. Ms. Vivian Ducat, the public member of the Land Use Committee, attended as well as Mr. Bruce Robertson. I believe he sits on 2 different committees, traffic and transportation, as well as business development. And we were speaking about the demolition of the historic row houses in the Audubon Park Historic District, which was mentioned earlier. So our office's next steps were to contact the Landmarks Preservation Committee, as well as Councilmember Camilla Hanks, who's the chair of the subcommittee on landmarks, public sightings, and dispositions for the City Council, about the possibility of a hearing regarding landmark applications and the row houses specifically. And then the last thing I do want to state is our office, we acknowledge and commend HPD for issuing the warrant that led to the arrest of Mr. Daniel Oheb Shalom, who was the former landlord of 2 buildings located at 705 and 709 West 170th Street. He was on our office's worst landlords watch list. He was the worst landlord 2 years in a row for 2022 and 2023. So I just want to acknowledge that as well. And that wraps it up for me. If there are any questions from anybody.
All right, Marielle, you could go ahead.
Thanks, Kathy. Hi, Noah.
Hey, Marielle.
Hi, from Housing and Human Services. Also very happy and want to commend HPD for that. Just wanting to note, though, that we actually had invited residents from those 2 buildings, I think it was December 2022, to come speak to our committee. And we had someone from HPD, the Alternate Enforcement Program, talk about some of the conditions they were unfortunately living in. And so I hope it's kind of the start of, and it sends a signal to some of these other landlords, because we know that there are many others in Community Board 12 that are not doing the right thing. So I just wanted to put that on. Thank you.
Thank you, Marielle. Appreciate you.
Hold on, let's test the mic real quick. Folks in the chat, can you hear Simari using the microphone?
No, can't hear her.
Yeah. Let me try that again. Go ahead. Try again.
No.
No? All right. Wow. All right.
No, still don't hear anything.
Thank you. Hold on. Yeah, talk, but we'll repeat.
No, I think you said that he's the former landlord of those buildings. I think the problem is that he's still the current landlord of those 2 buildings. And that's why he went to jail, because they haven't been maintaining those buildings.
Right. And I also know I think the public advocate used language which is like he was hiding behind other members of like the building management. But yeah, no, thank you for that, Steve. Yeah.
He's the current landlord.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what HPD like issued the arrest warrant for.
Yeah. Because he was in contempt of court, right? Yeah. So I think also just real quick, because, and I know that obviously we can all Google it, it's online in terms of the landlord. It wasn't simply because of the consistent abhorrent violations. It was because he wasn't going to court, right? And we know if you don't go to court, you're gonna get an arrest warrant. So just I think that's an important technicality. All right, so the standard mic's not working. We're gonna try out the other one. That does wrap up our component of the elected officials. All of their contact info is in the chat or in all of our emails. We're gonna move on to the public session. We're gonna start with Zoom and just swap back into person. So for Zoom, let me see, is he still here? Because I'm excited about. Oh, we got quorum? All right. We're gonna pause real quick, folks. We're just gonna call the meeting to order because we finally have reached quorum at 7:48-ish p.m. Okay, and we have to adopt tonight's both March 2024 agenda with that edit of the Cancer Plus presentation, as well as everybody has our February minutes for the general meeting. Is there a motion to adopt?
This is Liz Ritter. I move to adopt the agenda.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna stick to agenda, and I see a second from Wayne. As far as the February minutes go, is there a motion to adopt? I heard a motion from Isidro. Is there a second? Second from Robin. Are there any objections to either, actually? So either the agenda or minutes? Any abstentions? No conflicts. All right, thank you. That wraps up that piece. Okay, we can start with the public session. Let me see, I think his name's Daniel. All right, actually, I think folks are also gonna be excited. We have somebody from the New York City Office of Civic Engagement. Daniel. Daniel, you can go ahead and speak. And if you are, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you put in the chat that we?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh. Yeah. Sorry, we're just writing in the chat. Yeah, Daniel, we can hear you. We just wrote it in the chat. Yeah, we're gonna go into our next speaker. It's Ariacela from CUNY School of Public Health, and we'll chat with Daniel. Hopefully we can get him back because that's a big one.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Ariel Sella Holbrook Smith. I'm from the CUNY Graduate School of Public Health and Health Policy, located off of 125th Street. We are New York City's only graduate school of public health that is also a public institution. I just wanted to share a couple of events that we have coming up. The first one is for Black Mental Health Week on April 11th at 6 p.m. First off, thank you so much to the Community Board for your co-sponsorship of the film screening and panel discussion of Toxic, A Black Woman's Story, which follows one Black woman's maternal health journey. We will have panels who work in birthing centers, mental health practice, and the Department of Health. It's a hybrid event. Details are in the chat, but I can also reshare the information with you all to share out. And the second event is a mental health webinar on May 1st at 12 p.m. on the state of mental health in Upper Manhattan, coming out of the Harlem Hospital Community Advisory Board. And I know this is not Harlem, but we in CB12 do have access to these resources. The featured speakers, Assistant Commissioner Padmore John and Dr. Sharif, will specifically be focusing on strategies and resources for managing anxiety and depression, as well as the outpatient services that are available to us. So again, share the information in the chat, but I'll make sure that the registration info and flyers are shared to y'all so that you can share that out as well. And if you are interested in co-sponsoring the mental health webinar as well, would love to have y'all on that. That's it for me for today.
All right, thank you. And yeah, the office is definitely sending those around if you can catch them. They do a lot of hybrid events and even in the daytime, so really accessible. All right, Daniel, we're gonna try again. I know you threw a link in the chat. Oh, okay. So we'll go in person. Yeah. All right. So next up we have two speakers. Oh, Daryl. Sorry, I didn't know you were on the list. My fault. Come on up, and then we'll go to the two speakers.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. Daryl Cochran, just to take off my member hat and to talk about my day job at the New York City Commission on Human Rights. I think it was alluded to in the chat. We're doing an event next month. April is Fair Housing Month. So we're doing a lawful source of income and housing resource fair, along with Councilmember De La Rosa's office, HPD, 100 Hispanic Men and DWCD. That's on April 11th from 6 to 8 at Harold Levy School at 650 Academy Street. And if you don't know, source of income is one of the biggest forms of discrimination that we see every day at the commission. And it's if someone uses any sort of voucher, FEPS, Section 8, HACA, SCREE, to help pay for rent. So if landlords are discriminating and not taking the vouchers, that is unlawful. I'll admit sometimes it does take a while for a complaint to go through the formal complaint process, but when it comes to source of income discrimination, our agency is actually able to put a hold on the apartment until we figure out what the deal is with the landlord and if they are really denying someone lawfully. So hope you can go to that resource fair. Again, it's Thursday, April 11th. Thanks.
Thanks, Dad. All right, we're gonna go to in person. So you have two speakers, Carlos Manzanares. Did I get that right? Yes, from Banco Popular, followed by Javier. So you can, are you speaking? Okay, yeah. So you can, if you want to speak together or separate, that's cool. You can both come on down, while we see if Daniel's back. If not, I know more or less like who's gonna share, so we can share that. Or I think I know. I don't know.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the board. So very quickly, we just simply like to sincerely thank the board for your consideration, for the opportunity to receive your support for the designation of a BDD branch located on Dyckman Street. I think that Joel was going to be presenting further details on our behalf, correct?
Yes.
Got it. So in essence, the BDD is designation granted by the state of New York, and it involves that designation being assigned to a particular branch. In this case, it's going to be the Dyckman Street branch. And of course, the purpose of the law is to encourage the establishment of bank and credit union branches within a development district, within a particular area, in order to serve the community through banking services. So basically, underserved consumers, they can reside in urban or rural areas, which may have different income levels, demographic characteristics, and population densities. Regardless of an area's characteristics, it is anticipated that greater access to banking services will encourage the area's residents who may have no or limited banking relationships to become part of the financial mainstream. So at this point, I'll open up to any questions that anyone may have.
I'm just gonna use the mic. Since we're still in public session, is it clarifying? Yeah.
Yes, I don't understand what this designation provides. Does it give some special benefit to the bank?
So I'm going to answer the question. So basically, the BDD is called Banking Development District, right? It's designated to under banking area like Dyckman, right? What it does is it provides like a substantial amount to the branch, right? It's not a grant that we're getting. It's basically we're getting a deposit from the New York Department of Finance, and then we hold the money, right? We're paying interest for that, but what it does is we allow the bank to do mortgages, right? Do personal loans and do credit cards. So that's what it helped also, the underserved area like Dyckman. In addition to that, we provide basic checking accounts. In addition to that, we do a business loan to the client that what provides funding so we can help the consumers.
So basically, it provides the city will deposit a sum of money in that branch?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So in addition to, I just want to elaborate a little bit more, right? So far, the bank, we have 6 designated branches across New York City, right? We had the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, and then we're trying to get another one, Upper Manhattan, which is underserved banking. Also, we got the support from non-for-profit organizations, like Juan Pablo Duarte Foundation, Dominican USA, which is DUSA, Dominicanos Pro Ayuda. Also, we had council member Carmen de la Rosa. They also Adriana Espaillat. So they provide support letters so we can go ahead and proceed with this project, right, for underserved banking area.
So just to, did you guys do votes? Did you guys find them?
Yes.
Okay, I don't need it right now. It's okay. It's just to let folks know in the room. All right, so if you're in person, they are here. I think they're gonna hang out for a little bit and do have cards if you have more questions. But Joel, that is resolution letter E. He's gonna speak to it in a lot more detail. And I think they might be sticking around by that point, hopefully.
Yes.
So, okay, perfect. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. All right, and then I do see Daniel is back on, so we're gonna give it another try. Daniel, you should be able to unmute and go ahead.
Yes. So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Yes, I had the third computer was the charm. Third computer was the charm. I think I need to upgrade my tech. But anyways, thank you very much. Sorry about the technical difficulties. My name is Daniel Botting. I am a community coordinator with the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. And I wanted to come here to let you know about some trainings that are upcoming and about some programs that you might be, the board might be interested in that are upcoming with the Civic Engagement Commission. Coming up in April, we have our popular series of housing policy updates from the Department of Housing Preservation and Development. It seems like you're doing a lot of work that is around this area. As always, I would expect. There will be 2 sessions on affordable housing happening on April 9th and 16th. And there will be 2 on fair housing on April 11th and 18th. Registration for those can be found on our website, nyc.gov/civic engagement. I'll put that link in the chat for folks that are hosting there. Of course, it turned off my video rather than putting it in the chat. There we go. When you go to that site, obviously it's actually even fairly difficult, in my opinion, to find your way down to it. You can navigate to community boards using the buttons at the top and make sure to look for the current trainings menu towards the bottom. Another interesting thing that you might be interested in knowing is that we are going to be helping to roll out the New York City Learns platform, making some city trainings that will be eligible and available to all board members and staff over the next few months. So definitely stay tuned for that. And as always, with respect to trainings and many other things, the CEC does want to hear from you about what trainings you feel will be beneficial to you as members and help you serve your community. You can always feel free to contact Benjamin Solitaire, who's our community board advisor with the Civic Engagement Commission, at bsolitaire@civicengagement.nyc.gov. That is in the chat as well. Finally, very excited to tell you, we're almost to the point where we'll be starting the People's Money Participatory Budgeting Program vote phase for this year. You're probably familiar, this is different than the participatory budgeting that happens from city council members across the city. This is a citywide process. That process will begin on May 1st and will last through June 12th. And everybody across the city, ages 11 and up, regardless of immigration status or incarceration status, will have an opportunity to vote on projects they would like to see funded in their communities. So that process, again, is going to be happening from May 1st through June 12th. We'd love to have you vote. We'd love you to be able to put the word out to other folks to help them vote in this process. And you will be able to vote online at on.nyc.gov/PB. That's all I have to say. And if there are any questions, more than happy to help you answer them. And if I can't answer them, I'll make sure to bring them up to Benjamin and let him know so he can get back to you with those questions. Thank you for the time, and apologies again for the technical difficulties.
No, it's okay. Thank you. Oh, I see somebody else's comment. Okay, thank you. So for folks who are in person, I'll be sure to send that again. I think, do you guys keep the trainings on, like, recorded on your website if somebody misses it?
Yes, yes, we do.
Okay. So for folks who have questions about housing, perfect. Thank you so much. It was great for y'all to join us. And hopefully we get to see you more at our meeting.
Thank you.
I'm gonna allow for, if it's okay with folks, for 2 minutes. Marilady Pimentel from WEACT, who we missed, and has been on the call for a while. Marilady, go ahead.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Hello. Marilady Pimentel here, the bilingual community organizer. I want also to share with all of you that we will have 3 main events. That is important. We will have on April 13th our membership meeting where we have the Assembly 368 Candidate Forum. That will be at 10 a.m. To 1 p.m. and it will be in the New Heights Academy Charter School. I will put the link later. Later on, in April 16, we're going to Albany, Earth Day Environmental Justice Bill, advocating. We provide transportation and food and do a workshop the day after. And then April 20, we have the Cecil Corby Myers renaming ceremony. That's going to be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we will be here at the intersection of Conway Avenue and West 143rd Street. And then in April 11, we're going to speak in our, we add in Espanol, the prevention of the poisoning at home. That's going to be on Zoom at 6:30 p.m. Thank you so much.
Perfect. And Mariledy's also usually at Health and Environment. So if you want to connect with We Act, you can find her there. All right, perfect. So that concludes today's public session. We're gonna dive into results. The timing is a little off, I realized. So in terms of up to 10 minutes, it's usually 5. So we're gonna do 5 and kind of take it from there. Folks gotta come on down. So we're gonna start with Debbie with traffic, resolution A related to, and then followed by Wayne.
Hi, everybody. Before I get to the resolution, I actually do want to just highlight some items that garnered a lot of attendees as well as discussion. We had both Amber Charter School and School in the Square come by. It was really Amber Charter School to discuss what's been an ongoing situation for the past couple of years since the opening on 215th Street between Park Terrace East and West. There's been a lot of challenges with drop off. It's a narrow street with parking on both sides, and it's just been really tough on the all the residents there during drop off in particular. So we wanted to hear from the school about sort of how they're thinking about next steps as, you know, just more and more kids are out in the building. It was a hot issue. We had a lot of attendees online. And then we also had just what's an even longer standing issue, like as in before my time. We were just talking about the issue of Fort Washington, between 165th and 168th in particular, and really appreciate that Julio Batista from NYP joined us to update us on things that they're doing. This has, again, been something ongoing over decades. And then you heard a little bit about that come into play with the Cancer Center presentation. Besides the things that were discussed already tonight, when that construction starts, there's an expectation that they will be liaisoning with us about, it's going to be, I imagine, a tough situation on the street. And then we did have the resolution, which is another revocable consent. For those might remember, we just had one of these a few years ago. So again, when a private entity wants to use our, as in our taxpaying residents of New York City's sidewalks, for example, they have to apply. And we as a public can decide to, or community board, presents a resolution to consent to that, in this case, for an accessible ramp by Yeshiva University, roughly at 185th and Amsterdam. For people that have been around a little while, we have been increasingly over the past couple of years seeing consents for ramps that often you can't meet ADA requirements unless you get out onto the sidewalk a little bit to get the distances right. So that's what you have here. And again, that's at 185th in Amsterdam. That's it for me.
Yes. They can't hear, but.
I can just repeat if you, or you could. Oh,
And forgive me, Jim, I forget how far I can go on something like this, but I mean, I'm torn, I've been on this board a while now and I've always, supported greater accessibility issues. But I don't want tax dollars and our hard work to go towards yeshiva. They have been very homophobic over the last 3 years, taking an issue to the Supreme Court to stop them from integrating LGBT students into their population. So this is, I'm torn with this, I will say, but, and I will vote no, but, I think what yeshiva is doing, taking it all the way to the Supreme Court is just atrocious. So, thank you.
thank you for that. Sorry, what? Oh, sorry. Tracy.
I'm asking a clarifying question. Is the resolution for us to pay for this ramp or just for them to?
Oh, no. No, right. It's a good question, though. It's a good question. Yeah.
Is it for us to pay? Or is it just so that they can do it and at any time we can snatch back our consent?
No, it's a good question. And it is the latter, not the former. So again, they are just asking for consent and the application actually goes through DOT. So this application is outstanding. And yes, it's, as you said, it's referable because in the future, who's to say? Wayne?
The same point as Tracy is the city of New York, which provides for the vote of consent, not the community board, and there are no taxpayer dollars that goes with it. It is the city giving them permission to spend their money to build the ramp on city property.
Right. Yeah, when I said hours and all that, it wasn't about money. It's just about these are our streets and our sidewalks and yeah.
Taxpayer dollars. There are no taxpayer dollars.
Appreciated on the clarification. And it is good to know and comforting that, there is a process and a formality around our streets and our sidewalks being used, and it should always be that. Thank you.
Jim. Yeah, let's try. We're gonna try the mic again. Maybe distance helps. If you can't hear Jim, just say the chat and we'll repeat.
The point of I understand Daryl's irritation, or more than that, was keep in mind that the purpose of the ramp is to allow disabled people to get into the building. And if you don't approve this, it would make it, right now they have difficulty and the ramp will facilitate it. So we should keep that in mind as well. Thank you.
Okay, I saw the mic light up, so it might work this time, but okay. Yes, distance and he is loud. Thank you. All right, so covering traffic, sticking to land use kind of items. So come on down, Wayne, on reso item number B or letter B.
Thank you and good evening. For the details of the Land Use Committee meeting, I refer you to the minutes, and Anthony, thank you for drafting those minutes. There have been a couple of references to the row houses on 158th Street. So I just point out that when we had the Land Use Committee meeting, we also announced that in a few days, there was a preservation conference at City College entitled The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly: The Impact of Government Policies on Historic Neighborhoods. And this is a case in point where the community board and local residents have advocated for 15 years or more for designation, and LPC has ignored those advocacy efforts. So it was, sort of perfect timing for a conference that looked at how government policies impact historic neighborhoods. Last year, the community board passed a resolution providing planning guidelines for new housing development in Washington Heights and Inwood. And the Housing and Human Services Committee is working on a companion resolution. We asked the Borough President's Office to come in and provide us with their feedback on that resolution. What are their thoughts? How are they working to implement that? So there's more detail of that in the resolution. The Historic Districts Council and CB12 have been working on a landmark study of Washington Heights and Inwood since last fall. They provided us with an update. There have been 86 responses so far, and we're going to continue to work on outreach to get more responses. And that takes us to the resolution, which is that takes us to a presentation made by Columbia University Medical Center on a new building, not the cancer building that Presbyterian is building, but rather a new biomedical building, which basically is an extension of the existing Russ Berry Pavilion. They expect to begin construction on that this summer. And that takes us to the presentation by the Hispanic Society, which last year got permission from the Landmarks Preservation Commission for a 1-year exterior exhibit of a sculpture called Penetrable, which is an interactive sculpture. And I had the board email an image of that. It's a metal frame, and there are, plastic tubes hanging from that, and you can literally navigate your way through that. It's by an artist who is known for his interactive sculptures. What Hispanic Society wants to do is to extend that exhibit for another 2 years. So their current permission ends June of this year. They want to get it extended until June of 2026. To do that, the commissioners of LPC need to issue their approval through a certificate of appropriateness. The community board, or rather the land use committee, passed a resolution supporting that, and we urge the community board to adopt that resolution so the exhibit can remain on display for another 2 years. Are there any questions?
The Historic District Council stated that all the responding to this were English and understanding. So I want to know if we have a copy on that, and also and the reminders to board that people and have thought about this.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the survey was released last year in English and Spanish, and it can be completed in a digital format, or you can request hard copies. I believe the office has hard copies. The 86 responses are all digital, which is fine, and they're all in English. So I mentioned we're going to continue with outreach, and one of the things that we're doing is HDC has a staffer, Diego, who we've met with a couple times, who has worked initially in the Bronx and started working here in Washington Heights and Inwood to outreach to either people who are more comfortable communicating in Spanish, who are primarily Spanish speakers, to encourage them to participate. He also suggested reaching out to CUNY's Dominican Studies Institute, which HDC has worked with. So I reached out to them to also invite them to come to the April committee meeting, which Diego will be attending, to strategize with us on how we can expand our outreach. Anything online? The floor is yours.
Cool. All right, we're gonna go on to youth and education. So Reso C.
What do I do? Hit next? All right, we've been getting a lot of information around the impact that the COVID funding is going to have, the ending of the COVID funding in September is going to have in a lot of the programming that it was used for when there was recommendations that encouraged city officials not to use these type of funds for these programs that would go beyond 5 years. So now we're in a situation where we're beyond the 5 years, right? So beginning in September, a lot of that funding is going to be complete. It's done. And what we started to look at was ways of being able to identify our district. The data on the resolution is specific to District 6, and how the funding is going to be, how we're gonna lose monies. So the committee just came together. We put together a resolution just basically urging state officials, city officials. I think we got to add federal officials as well. So yes, Steve, I could see the nod. So I take that friendly amendment and just add federal officials as well, because the programming is great. Losing and for example, we have social workers in a time where mental health is running rampant right now in our city, and there seems not to necessarily be ways to address it. We have community school models, which basically addresses family needs at a very hyper local level, at the school level, by bringing in community-based organizations to be able to bring additional resources that the school otherwise may not have. We're looking at 3PK to 3PK being impacted as well. So the numbers are there. We're just basically urging our elected officials to I'm waiting after the follow-up after this resolution is sent is going to be just basically asking them what efforts are they pushing for in this upcoming budget to be able to secure funds for this, because it's not solely about sending the resolution, but the follow-up that's going to be done as a result of this resolution. So I wanted to make that clear as well. And with that, I also wanted to make a recommendation to the bylaws committee to be able to, I really do feel that as a chair, we have so many committee members that are involved and engaged, and I think title should reflect that. I think there should be co-assistant chairs in committees, so that we could create a pipeline to be able to replace chairs, as opposed to expect one assistant chair to do the overwhelming amount of work. I just my recommendation would be that developing a system where our bylaws reflect co-assistant chairs, so that we develop a much more better pipeline to be able to come chairs. Yeah. Yes. In total?
Well, I was gonna say specifically for our district.
That data reflects that. So in the whereas is specific to District 6. Okay.
And my second question is, the wonderful representative from Senator Espaillat's office just mentioned that there's 20 million that was available in grants available at a particular date. Is this something that could be applicable here to fill the gap?
Yeah, that's something that the city has to take on, right? The Department of Education has to look at ways to be able to alleviate the financial burdens that once this funding is done, how to basically transition funding to be able to address these. Yeah, but the thing is that even with the DOE is so even with the DOE is so difficult to just when it comes to federal funds, they're looking at district wide and Department of Education wide, you know what I'm saying?
It's not for funding of so no, that's what I'm trying to do, like after school program.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like the community school model, because they haven't, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but that is a great point you raised, because now there's also lead nonprofits that operate within these schools that could potentially do it. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Anything else? All right.
On the screen?
Yeah, go ahead. I guess Nobles go first.
Hey, what's up, man? Awesome job to your team for putting this together. Really important stuff you got in here. Just a quick question: your audience that this goes to. I mean, obviously, I know like the natural folks in terms of like Manhattan Borough President, so on and so forth. But Congressman Espaillat would be a great audience for this.
Correct.
Yeah. And then also even Senator Schumer, he's certainly also open to this if we can have any political pull in that area.
Correct. Thank you so much, Nobles. The friendly amendment that Steve mentally telepathically asked for was to incorporate a whereas where it's not only city and state, but also include federal elected officials.
Yeah. When we send this out, send it to them directly. Thank you, dude. Well done.
Don't forget Gillibrand.
Of course not. Never.
Mario?
Hi, Domingo. This looks really good, and well done to you and the committee as well. Just echoing Noble's points and those of others. I took a look at it. I would also recommend, as a friendly amendment, a reference to DYCD's community action grants.
Okay.
Because
And I think Carmen Paulino's online. Carmen really took the lead in this. So Carmen, if you have anything else you want to add, feel free to do so.
No, I'll let Marielle finish her thought and then I'll just make a quick point.
Sure. So, DYCD, and I sit on the CAB, I'm a CAB member, but it's the Community Services Block Grant, and it's the body that kind of helps oversee kind of grants. It's federal money to a lot of, and actually a lot of Community Board 12 falls under this, these funds. And many of the cases, it's, as someone else mentioned, funds to nonprofit providers that are working through and with schools, but also the community, mostly aimed at kind of young people, but also, education efforts, so on and so forth. So that was just a friendly amendment. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marielle, for that. I just wanted to add that's a really good suggestion, particularly for some of the programs that are being affected, like restorative justice programming at 8 schools and a shelter-based coordinator. So I think that we can definitely tap into those resources. One of the things that I just wanted to add to what Domingo was saying earlier, during this presentation that we have received from the Alliance for Quality Education, who's a nonprofit that brought this to our attention, they did mention that the New York City Comptroller and the Independent Budget Office, they've actually identified multiple streams of revenue that could be used to support these programs. The mayor has been saying that there is no money, but there are certainly creative solutions to this. So just wanted to put that out there, that it looks like there could be multiple streams of revenue, or at least they've been identified, and it's just urging these city officials to prioritize those.
Yeah, because we were broke and then all of a sudden like $2 billion popped up. So people were concerned about where was that money going. But yeah, anybody else? All right, cool. So we'll just add federal. And I know Tanisha's not on, but Tanisha will be chairing alongside, we will be having a joint like housing and human services and youth and education conversation around childcare. So I believe we're going to be doing that in May, and I look forward to everybody joining us then and addressing a need that's very big in our community. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Buenas noches. Happy Women's History Month. This resolution is simply sort of like we are replicating the same or the similar resolution that was passed last year. We had a presentation from an advocacy group called 100, yeah, I wish, 1% for parks. They were very thorough. Here's the report that I can forward to you if you email me. So I consulted with Madam Chair and members of the board, as to whether or not, when this advocacy group came to our meeting 2 months ago, whether it would be redundant to write a resolution or simply provide a letter of support. The committee decided that it was best just to write the resolution so that it reflects this year's language, in addition to any updates to the statistics that were presented during the committee board, the PCA, I call it the PCA meeting. I just wanted to share one very important statistic so that you understand how how grave the distribution to parks is in New York City when you compare funding distribution in other cities. I'm just going to read these stats to you, or you can pull them up, Kathy, if you can. Madam Chair, I'm sorry. Minneapolis, let me put my glasses on. Minneapolis dedicates 5.3% of their budget. Chicago, 4.3%. Los Angeles, 2.9%. San Francisco, 1.6%. Washington, D.C., 1.1%. And New York City, as it stands, 0.6% of the budget goes to parks. We also need to clarify that this is simply for operating. It doesn't include programming that is separate. We want to pass this resolution so that 1% of our budget goes to the operational component of parks. Last year's resolution, it had arts, but because it was this particular advocacy group that came to the PCA, this is why we are updating it for it to once again reflect 1% to parks. So on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th, whereas, I'm sorry, the 4th, you also see the percentages broken by major cities in the United States. The draft was passed unanimously at the committee level, and now I welcome your comments, friendly amendments, and so forth. This was taken from the template that they themselves provided. We tweaked the language a little bit, but we also want to be consistent with what other committee boards, how they're wording this resolution, because this is being presented across New York City. Questions? Thank you. Gracias. Yes.
Yeah, I think this is amazing, and I definitely support this. I just have a quick question. If the other cities are above 1%, why are we only asking for 1%?
That is a very good question, because we are actually going along with what this advocacy group has put forth. The advocacy group, the ask is 1%. Of course, I would love 100%, but given the thorough report that they have put together, the 46-page with all of the statistics, we think that 1% is more than fair and well-deserved. And the mayor did campaign on this. So we're trying to hold the mayor accountable for keeping his promise to allocate 1% of the budget. Oh, thank you. That's coming from you, Debbie. That means a lot. Thank you, Debbie. And thank you also to committee and your zest and pizzazz in defending this. No questions from online? All right. Well, thank you. Exit stage right.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So thank you so much, Carlos and Javier, for presenting earlier today. So just to explain a little bit further, the committee met to consider a letter of support for Banco Popular, or well, formerly known as Banco Popular. Now it's Popular Bank. They are applying to become a banking development district. What this means is that it's a program or a designation for a particular branch. And this particular branch happens to be on 100 on Dyckman Street, 180 Dyckman Street. And basically, New York State, the Department of Financial Services, does this designation to deposit public subsidized funds
into Popular Bank, and they basically promote economic development in this district. And the committee voted for it. And I want to give a huge shout out to Alvin. He's a community board member to bring this to light. This is a great opportunity to expand the development when it comes to commercial loans, savings, first-time home buyer here in the district. So a couple things to mention here. So this is a two-part application or letter of support. The first part is programming. So part of the resolution on, and you can see this on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the 11th, excuse me, the 12th whereas, and this is a programming so letter of support. So part of the application is that every year, New York State does an audit on how well they are a banking development district. And what that entails is two parts, like I mentioned. First is the programming. So Banco Popular, Popular Bank, is going to make sure that these seminars are held. And part of the seminars are first-time home buyer seminars, young adults in banking, how to save, budget, all these programming events, and they're committing in the resolution to 2 seminars on a monthly basis. Secondly is the more financial aspect. They are getting deposited $10 million of subsidized funds. So, and this is to encourage, again, development. So some of the things and mentioned in the 10th whereas is that they're going to lend to consumer lending, $3 million, and $3 million to small businesses and commercial loans. They're also approving up to $20,000 in secured cards, and also offering 40 credit builder loans in the amount of $1,000 to $10,000. This is a great resource because, as they explained during our meeting, credit builders are kind of an inverse savings account. But it is basically having a savings account, taking on a loan, and you're adding towards the loan, and at the end of the term amount, you're given that amount. But they report this activity to the credit bureaus, so it builds your credit. So 40 applications, approvals within this first year. Also, and also they're going to be offering, obviously, the deposit accounts that they usually do. So it's important to mention that New York State audits this. So on an annual basis, they are checking if these programs are being effective. And at the committee level, we decided that we want to be in the know. So after they do, and they get approved to this application, we want them to come back and make sure that the funds that they promised are being done. Although New York State is already doing this, we at the committee level wanted to make sure that it's happening. So those are the two parts. Also, lastly, we want to be heavily involved in the programming. So any programs that Javier, which is the branch manager at 180 Dykeman, any programs that Banco Popular, I say Banco Popular because that's how I know it. I grew up that way. That's right. So, right. So Popular Bank will have these programs that we're going to be in the know. So they promised 2 seminars on a monthly basis. So I encourage all of you guys to vote in favor of it. I saw Domingo's hands first.
One of my biggest things when we talk with financial institutions is as we prepare young adults and young people for the future, I feel like when we talk about financial literacy, that's a very important component. My thing is when you do something within a community and you do it within your own confines, I think that access can sometimes be lost in that space, right? Like, oh, we're gonna do it within the confines of Popular Bank because it's more convenient for us to do it that way. I want to know when you say Dykeman, are you looking to
partner up with schools to be able to provide parents and young people with access to these type of workshops? Or are you just gonna do it within your own facility? What does, like, I'm just trying to see clarity what that means.
All right, thank you for your question. I'll answer that. So specifically, and you guys mentioned this during the meeting, and it's in the resolution. We want to partner with community-based organizations. So the Washington Heights Chamber of Commerce, Cloth, the BID, the Inwood Merchant Association. These are organizations that we're gonna, obviously Javier and I, we're gonna speak on this level because we want to make sure that these community-based organizations are involved. One, because it gives them access to this information, and two, it really levels up the attendance, and that's what we want. We want engagement. So, right, and one of the things that they mentioned during their presentations that a lot of the times clients for Popular Bank, they come in solely for the loan and they don't have deposit accounts, which is a good and bad thing. It's not good for business, but it shows that you guys are reaching out and reaching that audience. But yes, Steve.
Well, I think it should be made clear that this is a wonderful opportunity to have the state of New York invest money in our academia. So, you know, this is not just something for the bank. It's a major investment for the community. But the designation, I think you say, is good for 4 years.
Yes.
Is it $10 million each year?
No, so it's for the 4 years. However, there's an annual review of the process.
It's the total 10 for the whole 4 years?
For the whole 4 years.
Like that much.
I mean, oh, we'll take it from New York State. We'll take it. But so yeah.
I'm gonna say the Lingo's point, and I would encourage the bank maybe to do this. When I was a kid in school, and you know, a long time ago, my first bank account, you know, was with, I think it was called the Dollar Savings Bank, and they had the kids like save, I don't know, 10 cents a week or something. They started out teaching kids financial literacy by having them open up their own little bank account, and we saved, you know, a very modest amount of money each week. But I don't know how much I ended up with at the end of the sixth grade, but it was one way to communicate to kids what it means to save and to have a bank account. And I don't know that that happens anymore, but maybe it's something the bank would want to look into.
Yeah, definitely valuable. And maybe Javier can speak to the seminars on saving really quickly.
Right. So we partner with community that audio. So we're reaching out to sports school in the area so we can provide information literacy, you know, to maybe second graders, third graders. We're in the process of doing that, right? They haven't got back to us. We sent email to them, you know, to partner so we're involved. But in addition to that, Popular Bank has something called Popular Kids Savings Account, which is it's open with the parent, like the father, the mother. So we teach them how to save, you know, from they can open it, they can sign it. 5 years old, 7.
Real quick, 2 seconds. And just to speak on the success of that, there's 5 other ones. I know you guys mentioned it. There's 5 other Popular banks that are currently BDDs and they're doing a great job. Elvin is actually one of the branch managers on it. So also I encourage you to connect with Domingo. He knows he's connected with the schools in our district that can help you expand your network and really bring in children of those ages to participate.
Okay.
Sure thing.
Some parts of New York City are underbanked. There is such thing.
Mm-hmm.
How is our district in relation to the rest of New York City? And if it is lower, if we have fewer banks within the underbanked section, could you please add that data to the resolution?
If I have access to that data, I will. However, yeah. However, this application is specifically for underserved communities. So I mean, I'll connect with you guys to see if you guys have that data. I'll be sure to.
Thanks. The branch is at 180 Dyson, but just for clarity, the catchment area, the service area, is that all of Washington Heights and Linwood?
Yes, from my understanding is all of Community Board 12.
It's more of a comment, so it's this comment. We're sort of combining, like, that's another subject. I think this program by the state is trying to get to expand credit in communities that do not have the same access to credit. I mean, it's a problem, basically, anybody that's not a massive company, right? Underbanked sort of goes to, do you have ATMs and deposit accounts options, stuff like that. This reso and this program is not about that. So I wouldn't.
Yeah.
The reso is about what the reso is about, but it's about credit.
Right. Also education, right?
Well, I understand that because people have to know to apply. A lot of these programs, whether they're from CB, like the community funding kinds of things, or something like this that's public subsidized, there's also a problem of finding good applicants. So that's where what you're saying comes into play. But again, this is a different issue than underbanked.
Yeah.
And because I think, because we are such an entrepreneurial, like, we kind of rock it on, so we tend to have banks because we have a lot of business people.
Right. Yes. So yeah, so it's definitely to promote business loans, commercial loans. So any other questions? So quickly, we also had a presentation by Rolando from the Legal Aid Society about commercial leases. Any business owners that you know, please refer them to the minutes or to the presentation. It was a great presentation by the Legal Aid Society. Rolando's great. He also the community impact, I think it's called. It's a community section of the Legal Aid Society, is great. If you have any questions, forward it to him. He's a great help. Yes. So that's it. Thank you. Also, shout out to the Sanitation Foundation for hosting the Waste Academy. It was great. That's why I'm wearing a green hat. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. The licensing committee met on the 13th of this month. We practically didn't have a lot of issues, but there's going to be some corrections. I must give a shout out for Simari for writing the minutes. Also shout out to Steve and Osi for bringing up to my attention some matters. I'll go through those one at a time. I also just wanted to remind at least the committee, the license committee members, to make sure to attend the webinar tomorrow for outside dining. That is crucial because, as you know, all of those licenses are going to come to our committee, and it'll be helpful if we know about the different codes that are going to be submitted by DOT. Also, a note to let you know that every single applicant that was required to submit some proof of purchase of sound limiters, they have done so. Also, please note that agenda item number 10, El Conde, they're going to move from Broadway, which is located currently at 175th, to 173rd and San Nick on the northwest corner. So the Conde has been there for at least 30-something years, and they're moving out because of high rent. So let's go out and check some of the issues that we have to correct. First, agenda item number 3 has in the resolutions on the agenda, that is an objection, that is an error. it should be changed to no objection. Then agenda item number 1, on the 4th, whereas the second sentence, it says closed. It actually should say open. So it's open Mondays through Fridays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Also, on agenda item number 2, on the 4th, whereas the closing hours that you see there are actually wrong. And it's Monday through Thursdays from 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. Then Fridays and Saturdays from 3 p.m. to 4 a.m. and Sundays from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. So I'm going to repeat. Mondays to Thursdays from 3 p.m. until 2 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays from 3 p.m. to 4 a.m. And on Sundays from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. On agenda item number 3, on the 7th, whereas we're going to change the language where it says no residents appeared at the license committee to complain. So we're going to change that. No residents appeared at the license committee and presented no issues about the establishment. So it's just tweaking up the negative word or connotation to complain. So that's going to be changed. Also on agenda item number 6, on the first whereas, the numbers of the address is wrong. So instead of 2024A, it should be 2048. 2048 Amsterdam Avenue. Finally, agenda item number 11. On the 8th, whereas it should read the applicant will get certified, trained and certified to satisfy SLA regulations. Again, it should read the applicant will get trained and certified to satisfy SLA requirements. And on that note, I'm going to open up the floor to see if there are any questions, recommendations, issues, and I'm starting with Jean Berlin.
Once again, I need to ask about the details of the class change for the license in number 8. And let me also suggest to your committee that it would be appropriate that the details of these changes in general be part of the resolution so that this information is publicly available and anyone who looks at it. And therefore, it would no longer be necessary for me to ask about this.
Thank you so much, Jean Berlin, and we'll take that into account. I do see that I have on my notes, and perhaps also committee members can chime in if I missed anything. But the reason why we are having this class change is because the client indicated that he needed to diversify the liquor to adjust to the residents who are mostly from African descent to have more exposure to those type of drinks. That's what we have on record. But I'll take that into account and make sure that on the next class change, there will be notified. So the reason for the change of class, as it was stated by the applicant, is that they want to have more diversified. They currently have a restaurant wine license. They want to move it up to a full liquor license because they want to bring more or expose more of the liquor that is being served in Africa.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. See you, Steve.
In the resolution 8, in the state has where the representative is not present to answer questions and concerns. But then later on in the resolution, when they get sent to around, it says the representative was present. So one of these is not correct.
So you're referring to which agenda item? Which 8?
Resolution 8.
The applicant was there, so it's a typo then on the resolution.
All right, well then, yeah, take a look at the 6th whereas, what says he wasn't present to answer questions.
That should be scrapped off then, because the representative was there. I see no other questions. Well, thank you all. Take care of yourselves.
Okay. I know, thank you, Isidro. Great work, everyone, this month. I see a hand from Liz.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a bad Wi-Fi situation, but I'm back. And I actually have a question for Wayne about his land use reso.
You can ask, he can hear you.
Is it okay for me to ask it since I was not on? Thank you so
Yeah,
much. So my question is, when we originally approved that temporary exhibit, we approved it because we thought it was going to be for just a year. So I'm just wondering, like, what's the perceived benefit to the community of having this interesting but also hideous thing that does not go at all with the landmarked quality of the Audubon Terrace extended for 2 years? I mean, it kind of feels like the Hispanic Society did an end run around the board that, oh, well, we'll just put it on the terrace, and when a year is up, we'll ask for an extension. If I had known that's what they were doing when they did it, I would have voted no. And I don't feel really good about that, particularly since I was like chair of the Parks Committee at the time.
Well, when it comes to art, it's, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think a lot of people find it interesting to be able to interact with it. And, when I was there, people seemed to be enjoying themselves quite a bit, walking through, that sculpture. And that's the whole intention that, you become, part of it. So, it is not intended to mimic the 103-year-old buildings, but it's also part of the Hispanic Society's commitment to more contemporary art as well.
Okay. I mean, I guess I'm also perplexed why this wasn't like done jointly with the Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee, since it's a culture thing, but
Probably because of the Landmarks Commission, but it could have.
I see. Okay. And do we know if 2 years from now they're going to ask for like another 2-year extension, or can we put some language into the reso? I hope this is acceptable as friendly, that, if they're asking for an extension, they don't get to come back and ask for like another extension. I don't want for this to be a permanent thing. That's my main hesitation.
I think I hear the amendment. I think
It's not
Wayne.
their collection.
Okay.
It's not part of their collection, so it can't be permanent.
I'm sorry, say that again?
It's not part of their music.
It's not part of their collection, so it can't be permanent.
I see. Okay, so that's helpful, but I think it would be, I would feel, it'll make the difference between me voting in favor of this and not voting in favor of this if there's some language in the resolution that captures that. Whether it's a whereas that says, it's not part of the permanent collection, and so it's not going to be a permanent installation. Just something that makes it very, very clear that once this extension is up, that thing is gone.
Hold on. So now we have Jim. I don't know if it's parliamentarian or no. It's his opinion. Go ahead, Jim, and then.
I totally object to Liz's point. If in 2 years, to begin with, it's my understanding you won't get a 2-year extension and that's it. Furthermore, if in 2 years the community wants this thing to be there longer, why should we just be deciding now what's going to happen? So I'm totally opposed to any.
Okay. Okay, cool. I'll just vote against it.
Can someone please repeat what Jim just said?
Jim objected to Liz's point in the sense that, one, there's only ever given, his understanding is they're only ever given a 2-year extension once. And then two, it's if the community wants it for 2 years from now, why would we say yes or no, you can't get an extension? So if it's something that people want to continue to see, so be it kind of.
Well, can we at least have some language in there that acknowledges that they don't own it?
So, Liz, I mean, I think at this point, it's not seen as a friendly amendment because,
Okay.
so that's,
Okay.
and people are gonna have to vote how we vote.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
so-
that's fine. I'll just vote against it.
So moving on to roll call, I'm going to go in alphabetical order like I did last
Yeah,
month.
thanks, Jim. I don't actually need your permission.
Joelle, how do you vote? We're on I'm sorry, roll call, yeah. How do you vote? Joelle votes yes to all. Elvin, how do you vote? So you're not voting because of a conflict of interest on resolution E. Okay, yes to the rest. For Elvin, not voting to resolution E due to a conflict of interest. He works for, he said he works for Popular Bank. So that's his conflict of interest. Jamirna, how do you vote? Jamirna votes no to A and 1 and yes to the rest. Marielle, how do you vote? Marielle, are you still on?
You come back.
I'll come back to you. Jacob Banis, how do you vote? Jacob votes yes to all. Radia, how do you vote? Radia votes yes to all. Wayne, how do you vote? Wayne votes yes to all. Jim, how do you vote?
I vote no on 8, 9, and 10, and yes to the rest.
Okay, Jim votes no on 8, 9, and 10, and yes to the rest. Daniel Bonilla, how do you vote? Daniel votes yes to all. Hector, how do you vote? Hector votes yes to all. Daryl, how do you vote?
Stay on A, no on 6, and yes.
Daryl abstains on A, no on 6, and yes to the rest. Nobles, how do you vote?
Yes to all.
Luis Cruz. Luis votes yes to all. Robin Cruz. Where's Robin? Robin votes no on B and E. And yes to the rest. Chair, how do you vote?
Yes to all.
Chair votes yes to all. Domingo, how do you vote? We'll come back to Domingo. Luana, how do you vote?
Yes to all.
Luana votes yes to all. Heidi, how do you vote?
Yes to all.
Heidi votes yes to all. C. Marie, how do you vote? C. Marie votes yes to all. Jody, how do you vote? Jody votes yes to all. One moment, please. Yosef, how do you vote? So, Yosef, you're not voting on resolution A because you work for Yeshiva University, and you're voting yes to the rest. Okay. OC, how do you vote?
No to number 2. Yes to the rest.
OC votes no on number 2 and yes to the rest. Liz, how do you vote?
I think she's frozen.
Oh, all right, we'll come back to her. Well, I don't know the other votes. Tracy, how do you vote? You want me to come back to you? Oh. Okay, Tracy votes yes to all.
By proxy.
By proxy. Isidro, how do you vote? Isidro votes yes to all. Debbie, how do you vote? Debbie votes yes to all. Carmen, how do you vote?
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Jonathan, I see you're on now. Jonathan, how do you vote?
I also vote yes to all.
Yes to all. Indiana, how do you vote?
I vote yes to all.
Bruce, how do you vote? Bruce votes yes to all.
Hello?
Steve, how do you vote?
I'm voting on D.
Hey, sorry, I think
I think that's Liz.
Yeah, we're coming back, Liz.
I'm
We're-
sorry, Steve, what was your vote? You said abstaining
Yeah.
on D?
I'm voting on.
No,
D.
okay.
Which my position,
Yes.
COP policy, voting against all others.
Okay. Steve is not voting on D due to his position at the Parks Department and yes to the rest. I am not voting on E due to my position at the New York State Department of Financial Services, and I'm voting yes to the rest. I will come back to Liz if Liz is. Liz, how do you vote? Oh, I'm sorry.
okay, so I vote. Wait, are you taking my vote or somebody else's?
Yes, no, we're taking your vote.
Okay, I'm voting no on B, the land use reso. I'm not voting due to conflict on licensing reso number 3 because the proprietor of that establishment, Latino Chinito, is a donor to a nonprofit organization that I sit on the board of. So that's a conflict. And I'm voting yes to the rest.
Great, thank you. Alexis, I'm sorry, how are you voting?
Thank you.
Alexis is voting yes to all, and then Marielle, how are you voting? Yes. We'll come back.
Oh, sorry. Did he call me?
Oh, yes, Marielle, how are you?
Sorry. Yeah, yes to all. Thank you.
Okay, Eleazar, I see you're on. How are you voting?
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Is there anyone I missed?
Domingo.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Domingo, how are you voting? Yes to all. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, one
He's
second.
been on the one.
Jay Baez. Okay, Jay Baez, how are you voting?
Abstain on A and C, and yes to the rest.
Okay. Anyone else? And did I miss any other board members? Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thanks, Anthony. All right, I know there's a series of people who may refer to minutes. Jim, is it a change for your vote or?
No, it's a parliamentary comment. I just want to remind Anthony and remind everyone else that when someone doesn't vote because of a conflict of interest, the number of people voting on that issue goes down by 1. And that affects the number of votes you need for a majority. You have to, but I'm not reminding you, I want everyone to vote.
Yeah. I was gonna ask if you wanted to. All right, so we got aging. Steve's gonna speak. Eliezer is on Zoom. Is anybody referring to minutes? No, okay.
Yeah, we are. Unless Jumirna wants to give a presentation on behalf of the committee.
Okay, she seems real comfy, so I'm gonna just keep it going. Joseph, come on up.
Okay. Cannabis here, just minutes. No
Oh.
minutes. We had no meeting.
Okay, I just want to get the address. We have one update. Ebenezer, do you have the address? Is Ebenezer here? Do you have the address for the Dykeman? Our next aging committee, we had a conversation a few times, but it came up again last committee. Awesome, thank you. To try to have the meetings again back in some of the senior centers, to get out there more and to see the seniors. We've been very effective on Zoom. 100% people zooming in, but not actually, thank you, I got it, but not actually coming to the meetings. And we haven't had too many seniors coming to the meetings, both not in person and in person and on Zoom. So the next meeting is going to take place at the Dykeman Senior Center, 3754 10th Avenue. And we invite those who are able to come. That's on the 4th of in the morning. We have our meetings in the morning also, if you don't know that. Be able to get out there more. We hope to be able to continue this. I'm not going to say every month, but occasionally, and to be out there in the public. But the rest of it, I refer you to the minutes.
What did I say was next? Oh, Steve.
Okay, the big news is that after years of our advocating for the restoration of the 30-bed psych unit at the Allen Hospital, Julio Batista at our last meeting finally announced to us that the hospital does intend to restore the psych unit at the Allen, but a year from now, in the spring of 2025. They're currently apparently demolishing the old rooms. They'll be creating new single-bed units. They're planning on putting back only 24 of the beds at the Allen, and they are expanding the psych beds at the Milstein by another 3. So there'll be a total of 28 psych beds at the Milstein. So there's a net loss of 3 psych beds to the community at Presbyterian. On the issue of the, however, at least we are getting this psych unit restored finally, and after years of the hospital not being willing to commit itself to doing so, now at least they have gone out publicly to say that they will be restoring those beds. So on the issue of the midwives, we have not done so well. The 6 of the 7 nurse midwives who lost their jobs at the Allen, 6 or 7 of them have transferred to other jobs within the hospital system so that they could retain their union status, their health benefits, and their pension benefits. I understand that 1 nurse practitioner and 4 new midwives have been hired to work at the Allen. They'll be working now under Columbia's auspices as opposed to New York Presbyterians. And frankly, I still don't understand why the other midwives had to lose their jobs and why it was necessary to hire some new ones. This whole thing still makes no sense to me. Number 2, we had a presentation at our committee meeting about a new neighborhood navigator program, basically outreach to the mentally ill and homeless in the community, funded by the district attorney's office, $6 million in 4 different high needs neighborhoods, including ours. There are 2 navigators currently working in the community, people who are formerly homeless who can empathize with the people they're coming upon. They're focusing at the moment at outside the Holy Rood Church at 179th Street, at Duarte Square, 170th Street on Broadway, between Broadway and St. Nicholas, and in Highbridge Park, near the skate park, around 180th Street. The section is Cedro that you just showed me pictures of. So they are working Mondays to Fridays, 10 to 6. There is another homeless outreach program that's been instituted by New York Presbyterian using another organization called Breaking Ground. They have 10 different workers now doing outreach 24/7, working within the hospital as well as out in the community in the immediate vicinity of the medical complex between 165th and 168th Streets, between Broadway and Riverside Drive. In terms of COVID, Domingo, I didn't want to disappoint you. I came today with our latest COVID-19 statistics showing that 3 of our zip codes are on the high part of the spectrum in terms of the hospitalization rate for the last 28-day period reporting. In zip code 32, 17.4 people per 100,000 were hospitalized. That's the number 34 rank. In zip code 40, 15.9, ranked as 47th among the zip codes in New York City. Zip code 33 at a hospitalization rate of 10.3. They were ranked as number 85. And zip code 34 had so few hospitalizations that there's no number. It's less than 0. So they were ranked at 125. Since my committee met at the beginning of March the 7th, there have been 69 additional cases in Washington Heights and Inwood, and two additional deaths. In terms of flu, there's been an uptick in flu this year, above last year's, higher than normal, and that was confirmed by New York Presbyterian in its own hospital facilities. And the health department advises us that it's never too late to get a flu shot. So if you haven't done so, go out there and get one. That's my report.
All right, and then Mario, you're gonna close us out. Mario. I'm gonna go once. I
Oh,
know.
sorry. Hi. Having a rough bedtime tonight. Hi, good evening, everyone. Refer to the recording. Just wanted to highlight two things really quickly. One, we had a presentation from Avang, who's from Legal Aid Society, and he's also a tenant representative for the Rent Guidelines Board. And so I know that's always an issue that's very important to all of us, namely because we have so many rent stabilized apartments in our area. So strongly encourage everyone to take a look. And we talked about kind of some advocacy. But the main thing I want to highlight, though, is that tomorrow, which you've been seeing all for quite some time now, is tomorrow is the HPD visioning workshop for 4095 9th Avenue. So please, 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 if you are able to go. It's from 6 to 8. It's at IS 52, and that's between Broadway and Academy. So it's really important that we have a big, big turnout. So yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Mario, is there any old business? Any new business? Is there a motion? Thank you, Luana, and seconded by everybody. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you. See y'all tomorrow. We will see you tomorrow in Inwood.
Hi, see you tomorrow.